Hello and welcome to the wonderful world of programming. Here we will continue um, talking about functions on C++. You can call me John, and so let's begin. So we have the topics, we have these amazing topics that we will learn: program-defined functions, calling functions, and void functions. First of all, I would like to recommend you to subscribe to the channel. It's an obligation almost, but I recommend to subscribe in competitions like Google Code Jam and Google Kickstart and many others. So let's continue. Program-defined functions. What's this? We have a function declaration that's made of three parts: the return, the name, the arguments. Actually, here it is the formal parameters. And we have here the declaration. No definition here, nobody. So double sum that receives two values, two formal parameters, and the arguments that we will pass to it. So a function definition is made of the head and the body. Here is the head till this point, and after including the braces, and everything here is the body in between the braces. And the head is just this part till the first brace. So it's very important here, as you can read. I won't read just not to scare you, but you can read this. So first we put the function declaration before main, and after we place the function definition. And if you want to solve, actually you can pause the video and I'm gonna solve the problem. Create a program that has a function to read two numbers and print the biggest of them. So I'm gonna use this thing here, this pad block of notes, not code blocks, because code blocks not good. So we will need a main function this way here, and we will declare our function. It will return int, so we are considering integer numbers, and it will be called get biggest, and we are gonna pass two parameters, two numbers a and b. And so we are going to copy this in here. We will declare, we have declared, and we will define it. So how can we define? If else. Why? Because if a is greater than b, then we have to return a. Remember that a function can just return one return. So take care. And else it will return b. So we are just we're not considering the case in which a equals b. So this will be if a is bigger than b, it will return a, of course. Else it will return b. So this is our function, and in main we have to read two functions, and we are using namespace std. So we read a and we read b, and we print. We will create a variable called z that will receive the biggest. So it's very good to initialize to some value because we don't know what it can happen. So it will get biggest. Remember not to redeclare the function here with int. It seems strange, but many people do that. And we will just put a and b. Remember that this function is a function that we pass by value, so the function will just die after we type, after we finish it. So actually these numbers that we're declaring here, we have to declare that we're declaring here, actually they are not the same as these numbers that we are declaring here. They are completely different, as we have said in the other video. So we just copy here. Oh, a moment. We have to see out the z. And I will tell you a curiosity. Actually, you can actually make these operators here to read using some other more complex concepts of programming, and that's really, really interesting. So we're just going to copy here and put here. And we cannot forget to use using the namespace std, just to not use std here again. And we can talk more about that later, including the IO stream. That's very good. So let's read. No errors, and let's put our numbers. For example, 4 and 5. Oh, it happened something here. Let's close it. Let's close it. Let's run again. So I think 4 and 5. 4 and 5. So 5 is bigger, it will return 5. Let's test another one. 33 and 41. 41 is bigger than 33. Then, all right, let's go back to our class, right? We have to go back to class. We cannot stay that longer. So functions that return a Boolean. Another great exercise that we are doing here. Create a program that has a function with bool return to read two int numbers. So the returns bool, two int numbers returning true if the second is bigger than the first. Observation: we have very much take care not to use a bool in main, because you will be redeclaring the function, as I have said. Not bool, not int, not double, not float, not anything. Don't repeat the return. Return also don't use the char. Take care. Return numbers, not letters. The return doesn't return chars, just numbers. So what we will create here, a function bool that return the biggest. So this is a function that get biggest, and we are doing different here, right? Int A, int B. These are the ints, right? We'll return to two int numbers, so we need the main function, int main, and here we have declared the function, but we didn't define the function. So here we will define the function. So we will just return, right, between parentheses. It's very good to put this way always. Return A bigger than B, right? So we're not considering the case in which they are equal. So this return is gonna return true or false. And actually I said that it just returned numbers. It's true, because false and true, we are talking about zeros and ones. So 1 for true and 0 for false. So return A greater than B. So if A is bigger than B, it will return true. Yes? So we are just gonna call the function. So we will create a variable called t, and t is going to receive the result of this function get biggest, that will receive two parameters that we are going to read in here. First of all, we have to declare A and B. Remember that these two A and B are different than these here, because we're in different places, and we are going to read A, reading B, and also what we're going to do is just to put here, we're passing A and B to the function, and we're just going to get, if the A is greater than B, we will return A. We will return true, right? So let's copy this function here, and we are just going to paste really in this part, and no problem. Oh, just to take this out from here, and using namespace std, and no errors. So we have just to see out the result t of the function, and let's see what we get. And let's see what we get. So let's put 4 and 5. We just received 0. As I said, the function returned A greater than B. So it's returning 0 because actually A is not bigger than B. So we have to return false. And so we have, for example, if we put 5 and 4 as 5 is bigger than 4, we will return 1 because it's true, right? So this is our function to just return true or false accordingly, the program accordingly to the number. So if A is bigger than B, it will return 1 because it is true. So let's continue our class. And we have right now to create a function. So I recommend you to do that at home. So if you want to create a function to read an int number and return a bool true if the number is prime and a bool false otherwise. And it's a problem for you to do at home. So if we would like to continue this program to, for example, print the biggest number, it's not quite hard to do. It's just to do as using the other way. So no problem. We have used returning a greater than b, but we could have used another way, of course. So to call a function, you call a function when you pass arguments to it and does just use its name. You don't use more the type of return. So just to call a function is just to use this way here to call a function. Actually, you don't use double and you don't use these types. You just call like this, even of a and a dot here and a comma given before. So sum of a and b, given a and b before, you call like this. And one exercise that we have is to create a function that takes a number int and return bool true if even and false otherwise, reading from the keyboard. So I recommend you to solve the function before and after you go to the solution for this problem here. So what we will do is just to go here and we will take one number, right? And we will print, if the number is even, right? It will print true. So let's begin. Int even of int a, we will verify if a is an even number. So let's continue. And I really recommend you to try to solve problems of your daily lives or more advanced problems that make sense for you. And it's very good for life. So we are doing this. We're declaring our function. And so here we will return just return. It's very good to have this practice, this one, and to declare before main and to define after main. It's a very good practice. I recommend you. I have said that before, and I have also said that this is a wonderful thing to do, right? To understand logic concepts and to program your ideas. So return true if a divided by 2 has rest 0, or saying a modulus 2 is equal to 0, and we have to use like this because we are comparing, not assigning. So take care. Right, so we will, as we always do, we have to create an int a, right? After what we do, we have to create the out, or the variable that's going to receive the value passed to the function. But first we have to read, right? We have to read a, and what we do next, we assign a. Assign, it's different from the comparison, right? I'm sorry. A receives the value of the function, even of a, right? Even of a, that's the value. Let's put b here. So we are reading b, and we are going to assign t. Actually, t is the variable that's going to receive even of b, and we're going to say that b is going to be even or odd. So see out the result t. So we just copy here. You can do that, or you can really code directly using these IDE, because maybe you can or not make mistakes. So using namespace std, and we're just gonna pass the function here, and everything is right. Yes, so we will just click here to compile, and we will just run and put the number. So 5 is odd, so it will print 0 probably. 0. Great. And so 6, 7, no, 8. 8's even, so it will print 1. Great, very good, so it's true. Let's continue with the class, with a very interesting world. Oh, this subject's very beautiful, right? Logic. I have said that. Okay, so calling functions, what we can't do. So the don'ts, as we have very much to understand, we have to understand very much what we can do. We have to learn very much with our mistakes. We have to concentrate in our mistakes to see our results to get really much better. So really look to your mistakes. Don't forget to put the same number of entries for a call function. Oh, it seems very idiot for now. Oh yeah, it seems, but actually it will happen many times. You can delay hours and hours, and actually at the end you are going to discover that you just missed a entry. You can also do, and it has happened, right, with many people, including many people, right, that we even know. It can be even ourselves. Don't forget to put the same type for the entries for a function call. When we pass the arguments, they have to be really the same type and the same number of arguments. Don't forget anything above. It's another great recommendation. And this area is really fantastic. You can have a lot of things to do. This is the basics for getting started into Java, into Python, into Java, and many other things. You can design computers, you can design operational systems, you can create another language using these concepts that I'm talking with you. There are millions of possibilities, including creating a computer. But let's continue the class. So this is pretty amazing. Don't forget the library to implement the function. We cannot forget the namespace std, and I really recommend when you code, you maybe take a print of the screen to not forget these things. Don't forget that the function doesn't change the value of the parameters when called, and we solve things in general. So these, we're talking about parameters. So when the function, we will explain that later, so don't care with this. Forget that non-void functions return a return of a type specified by start of the function definition. And don't forget anything above or on the left. Right? So void functions don't return. As we'll see. If you have a void function, that it's a function that doesn't return. So we have this void function. We cannot return anything. Yes, we can't return anything. Great. Return statement. It doesn't need to contain a return in void functions. Doesn't return a value, but can return anything, something more. For every void function body code, there is the end, or better, before the last brace, any place to return. So there is actually a return. When using a return, the function will end at this part. Yes, that's why the function ends. Main is a function, and it's called by the system. You need to use return 0. It's very good to use this. So we will create, and you can actually return. If you use return without any return, that's very subtle here. If you just use return, the function is going to end where you put return in the void function. Create a function void that print on the screen the positive numbers, and I recommend you to pause and try to solve this problem and to read this phrase in red here, right? And I would also implement something. I would like to say that if you don't read a book of programming, you won't ever learn how to program. But let's continue. Create a function void that print on screen the positive numbers from 1 to 10 when called in main by the system. 1 to 10. So let's do it. 1 to 10. So a void function called count 1 to 10. 1 to 10. I won't write that. Count. And that's going to receive int calm down. It's a void function that right. In this case, we don't have any parameters to put here. So it will be just like this with no parameters. int main, and we will declare our void count like this. This is the head, and this is the body, and right? And this is the definition. The body is in between the braces. So we will just print, we use a for, yes, a for, and we just use a counter smaller than 9. So 0 to 9 we have 10 numbers, I++, and we will just print a number, cout I, and we will just use AND line here, or we can just use a space. Yes, good. Just use a space here in the same way, so no problem. So let's continue, and just we are gonna just call the function, right? So t receives the void count, so count, and it will just print. It will just print here. Actually, we don't need this. We don't need this because in the function it's doing that, because the function doesn't even return. So let's copy this and let's put here. So, oh, there is a problem here. Void val. Oh, I could not have not made any mistake during the whole class. So, just to say. Oh, but it was simple, very simple. Any mistake should happen, right? So here we have using namespace std. We can talk about namespace in another class. It's really interesting. Oh, the error has void value not ignored as it ought to be. Interesting. Very, very interesting. What happened here? Can we ignore all this thing and go out from the program? Probably not. Void value not ignored as it ought to be. Interesting. So what will we do here? Let's see. So we have declared t. Let's initialize to 0 and do it such like this way. Cout here, it will print this. We have a void count, or probably we know. Oh, everything's correct, so maybe we can just receive a value here not to happen this mistake. Int t, for example, and the function void, or int I, and the function will just go till this number t, right? Okay, it's good. It will solve our problem for now. Just to see. So we will declare a equals 0, and a is going to receive count of t. So it seems that everything's solved. And we will just declare a t, and it will read the t, and we are going to count of t. So let's see if it solves the problem. Oh, it seems we have another problem here. I have just perceived the mistake that happened, because technically the void doesn't return, as we have said, in this entire time. So we cannot assign any value to our function. So it was a mistake that we have committed. So we can just take this and print the numbers till 9, till 10, and we can just call the function count here without any parameter. So it was strange, but it doesn't return, so we can't do like this. We cannot assign things. So we don't even need to do this, right? We can just do that directly. Very good. So that's the result. Oh, it's printed till 8. Very interesting. Oh, that's true. We should have done this. So now it's correct. So another mistake that we have learned is that, oh, it was not till 10. Why? 1 till 10. That's great. Great. All right, so now it's good. I'm sorry. So it doesn't return. So I won't ever forget. I hope you don't even. So that's all for today. I hope you have learned a lot, including that void doesn't return anything. So see you. Program a lot and have a nice time.